I know you guys have seen the title of this video, and I'm asking you to bear with me and just genuinely listen to what I have to say. The numbers have come in for WWE Saturday night's main event, and it's a little underwhelming. But there's multiple reasons for it, and we got to discuss it. And I think this tells you that despite WWE just having such a hot year, the WWE brand still has a lot more that they could be doing to grow. WrestleNomics came out with the numbers. And basically, for those who don't know, WWE's December 14th edition of Saturday Night's Main Event garnered an overall viewership of 1,590,000 people with a 0.042 rating in the crucial 18 to 49 demographic. Now, at the same time, WWE also simulcasted on Peacock, which ended up doing about 700,000 plus live viewers on Peacock. That doesn't include video on demand. That was just specifically live viewership. Some people will look at this as impressive. Some people will look at this as a really good thing. But if you look at the combined numbers between primetime television and Peacock on a Saturday night, the show literally did over 2.3 million people. Okay, so why is that a failure? Well, Saturday Night's Main Event back in the day used to do obviously way more viewers. Let's not compare viewership from now to back in the day. But with how hot the WWE product is and how star-studded that card was and the momentum for that card and the anticipation and the fact that it was on Peacock and NBC, I think it was very obvious that a lot of people had higher expectations. Now, I think also WWE had higher expectations. There's some rumors going around on social media that WWE internally was hoping to have over 4 million watching, which obviously this would be considered an extreme failure for them because 2.3 is not 4, right? 2.3 is significantly less than 4 million viewers. Now, I don't know if that was WWE internally hoping so, or if that was NBC or whatever it may be. Granted, WWE is only going to do 4 of these a year, but I do think to a certain extent, Saturday nights are not a good time slot for professional wrestling. I mean, I think that is very obvious, especially when you consider Collision being on Saturday nights and they just struggle all the time. But unless it's a pay-per-view, I don't think it's going to be that great. Now, there was some competition for the WWE on Saturday night. There was the Houston Rockets and Oklahoma City Thunder game on ABC. That show had 1.89 million viewers. However, one thing that people need to understand is that with ESPN, ABC, we don't know the numbers for their streaming, right? So if it's being simulcasted on ESPN Plus or whatever it may be, with WWE, NBC, Peacock, and the channel like TV, technically speaking, WWE beat out the TV viewers for Rockets and Oklahoma City Thunder, but there's also multiple ways to watch that game. We can't factor in those numbers. The NBA semifinals game, that was like the NBA Cup thing. Apparently it didn't have a streaming component. I don't know if I believe that because typically things are simulcasted for ESPN, but maybe there is a possibility that it actually wasn't. Also, WWE competed with the Heisman Trophy presentation on ESPN, which had an average of 2.25 million viewers. So again, the thing is, when you look at Sports Illustrated, and they're the ones also posting the numbers, their whole thing is, hey, WWE beat all of these competitors. It's not by much if you want to look at it that way. If you're combining Peacock and NBC, it's really not by much. And really what this has done is spark a conversation. And that's why I want to talk about this. I think a lot of times wrestling fans, wrestling creators, content creators, podcasters, those TV numbers are a little disappointing, but then they try to factor in the extra 700,000 additional viewers from live Peacock. We know that people will not be as nice to AEW when the show is simulcasted on HBO Max. I also think when WWE is on Netflix, I think, the streaming platforms, I think people will try to inflate the numbers. So I feel like the numbers game is always an interesting conversation because people are going to look at the numbers. And, for me, I always say the numbers aren't always accurate, but depending on the number, you could tell if there is some serious momentum behind the product, which I firmly agree with. I firmly believe that regardless of the numbers. So then you might be wondering, how did I come to this conclusion? WWE's product is very hot, but Saturday Night's Main Event is it's supposed to be a special viewing on primetime television. And it goes back to what I say about Saturday nights not being a good time slot. And that's also one of the reasons why I don't particularly like this. I think people are holiday shopping. People are watching sports. People are watching UFC. People are going out there socializing. They go to bars. You cannot expect people to literally just make their entire life pro wrestling. And I feel like for AEW and WWE doing stuff on Saturday nights, it sucks. It sucks. I don't even know what the pay-per-view numbers are for WWE live on Peacock on Saturday nights. But I'm going to tell you that more than likely, I would say, based on seeing what the ratings are for Raw, NXT, SmackDown, and Saturday Night's Main Event, I think there could be a good argument that WWE's live Peacock numbers really aren't that incredibly high, which is not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just, there's no transparency there. But I would say it's like WWE's probably kicking around 2 to 4 million viewers live. And like that would be impressive for sure. But it's still a failure if WWE was looking at 4 million viewers for this particular event and they didn't get anywhere near that. So either that means people inside NBC or WWE have dramatically overestimated the popularity of this brand, or they have completely underestimated their competition, which I think is far more likely for that to be the case. But I thought Saturday Night's Main Event, I personally couldn't watch it live. I had other obligations, personal stuff to do, but I came home and I watched it, and I thought it was a good show. So even the numbers being like a thing where, we're going to talk about numbers with AEW and WWE all the time because that's how the wrestling industry works. But I think if you're looking at numbers as an indicator as to whether or not something is good or bad, I think that's a problem. Good or bad. Numbers being good or bad doesn't tell you if the product is good or bad. But what it does tell you is whether a company has momentum or not. Some people are calling this a very big success, and some people are calling it extreme failure. I am leaning towards it being an extreme failure for the simple fact that the word going around is that they wanted 4 million plus. And if that's true, they didn't get anywhere near that. So that's a problem. And who that falls on or what that falls on, I don't know, but that's why I made this video, because I think everybody offers a different perspective, and my perspective is quite simple. If you have really high expectations and you don't get close to it, you have failed. You have done something wrong. And that could be exactly what has happened here. Maybe nostalgia just really isn't that big of a draw.